Well, I don't know how the hurricane life has been treating you, but we got a lot of rain. And today's the first day where it's not raining. So perhaps we can get some work done. We're not gonna do this though, because I don't have time. But one thing we're gonna have to do is work harder to pick up all our trash, because I see that the old hurricane has blown her around just about everywhere. So anyway, that's a project for another day, but we're gonna get started on today's adventure right after this. All right, welcome back. If you haven't seen my videos before, I'm Rusty Man. Like I said, the old hurricane, torrential whatevers have not been kind to us. So as you may recall, in previous adventure, we ground some cattle feed. Thought it'd be nice to feed them again with the feed. I don't put them on it right away every day when I first start, because, you know, I don't want them to overdo it. But as we see, somehow my entire trough has flipped upside down. I would say that was probably more their doing than the wind, but you never know. And now that they see me out here, they're all gonna come out here. So, sure, can we do this? I'm a pretty big old boy, so it's possible. Urgh. Sure. This end is getting a little bit not the greatest. You see, as they like to play hockey with just about everything you set before them. What are you doing, Elmer? As in Elmer's glue? Sure. Yeah, just calm your jets, okay, folks? We're not there yet. Step one is fixing what you screwed up. Step number two is going to get the feed. So, here's our happy little 1755. And our mixer, still, you know, mostly full of feed. I did start it up and run it in the shed, because it's in the dry, and let it, you know, mix a little bit, just so stuff didn't get stuck in the bottom. Because when that happens, friends, that is sadness. That is also sadness, I see. Our tire has gone flat. So before we can do anything, we're gonna have to get the little air inflator and air it up. I did not realize it was totally flat. Yesterday it was not. So I hope that's not a blowout, because if it is, that's even worse. That means I have to fix it now. I would rather fix it with the mixer empty, see? Are you still going? I had to play a rousing round of find a battery. Uh-oh. This one's not gonna work either. Be low. Battery low. I bet I got this thing ruined. It got caught out in the torrential rain. Partly. And I bet you it ain't gonna go. Be low. That's what it says when the battery's low. But I don't think the battery's low. Oh, friends. Battery low. Okay. Well, we're gonna have to do a lot of stuff here. I wouldn't think that it's in bad shape. I got this. So I wonder if I take this over to a vehicle, if it will run. It's always something, friends. It's always something. I just can't catch a break. Okay, service escape. If we go out through the window, we might have her licked. I need to get all my batteries charged. Even though this one shows that it's got 2 bars, it's really not. All right, 35 or so. Sure, let's see what happens. Uh-oh. Sadness happened. What happened? I think this thing really is messed up. Lop. What's lop mean? Low power? Let's start this thing. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe it knows that it's not, the battery's not charging. Low power. I've never had trouble like I'm having with this. That's it. All right. We're gonna hope that works. And we're gonna walk away. Maybe. Who knows? It is climbing. It's just gonna take a while. So, I had a ton of comments on the video with this feed mixer, and I thought maybe it would be good to see about answering some of these, because I feel like I've answered them before, but maybe not, you know, or maybe people don't remember that video. So let's see here. If I pull up that video, and it has 58 comments. Asphalt grindings would be a game changer in the shed floor. That is true. If I had some outlet to get them cheap or free, that would be nice. Let's see. The inner tube is probably rotten on the tire. Yes, it probably is. The 1755 is saying, see, I don't need a battery disconnect. Yeah, it seemed to work this time without turning the batteries off. What else? I need a corn barn to park the rig in now. Yeah, I agree. I wish I had a barn just for hay bales and just for stuff like that. All right. Someone said, I've ground thousands of loads with our 353. We always put minerals or supplements in before we grind, and when you're done grinding, it's all mixed up. I agree. I thought about stopping midway while I was putting in the corn and put the supplement in to really get it mixed in there, but I just usually let it sit and mix for 20 minutes or something before feeding, and that did it. If the grinder's sitting level, the level of the feed will get to the top window. All of a sudden it will drop about 3 to 4 inches in the window. That's when it's full. If you keep going after that, it will push out the hatch on the top, which I did because it was on an angle and I lost track of it. The bevel gears that run the unit, that run the unloading auger, is that what it is? Oh, he says always have the PTO off when engaged the unloading auger. The bevel gears that run it are really hard to find. You can chip them if you kick it in with the PTO on. It's really made that you can kick it with the PTO on. I wouldn't do it with it screaming, because if you can see in there, it is made a lot like the Minneapolis Moline Combine unloading auger, where it's like two flat pieces with a dog on an angle, and then when it springs together, the next time it comes around, it grabs the flat side and continues driving, or starts driving it. So, you know, but it is true. I would probably agree that it'd be better to engage it while it wasn't running. At least not, you know, don't have it running full throttle. What else? Yeah, we got nervous leaving it full for a couple days, even with dry grain, because we had it set up in there. We had that trouble on Dad's a lot whenever you would, and I wouldn't say a lot, not really with corn, but if you would grind wheat, you pretty well had to get it out of there right away, because if you'd leave it sit in there at all, it would cake up in there and you would be digging, and that is no fun. However, in this case, I didn't really have a day without rain till now. The day I grounded, it started raining, and that next morning I was able to feed some of it real quick, and it started raining, and it's been raining ever since. So it just did not work this time. The bovines will be pleased. Your setup does indeed beat shoveling. Yes, unloading auger, out of the bin, I said I didn't really like it. I wished it was better. And I got a couple choices, maybe. There's one on auction time that looks like it's in better shape, but it's not any bigger. But then I remembered, friends, some other thing that I bought out of the spur of the moment, and I think I can make that work if we just get some free time to do it. And I'm going to walk you out here to see. Here is a pile of stuff that still came from that auction where I bought the super cheap Super Duty and the other truck, and on it there is about an 8-inch auger. It might be a 6-inch, but I think it's an 8-inch. But it's a hydraulic drive auger, which I wouldn't want for what I'm doing, but the way it's made, I don't know if we can see that in here or not, but it's got a drive coupler to this hydraulic motor, which is bolted onto a flat adapter plate. So I'm saying if I make a new adapter plate and a stub shaft with a pulley and a bearing in my adapter plate, I could probably modify this in for electric motor drive. And this would be more along the line of the size that was actually in that auger to start with, that transport. You know, I said I salvaged it out of a dumpster, but I think this would fit in the clamps better, and we might have us something. And I got to thinking about this. Instead of cutting this open or whatever, I think if I made a little some rubber flaps, you know, and cut them where I could make them like a little funnel, I could just slide that right under that thing and I wouldn't even need the rubber tube, you know. I'm not saying that's going to work, but it's definitely worth investigating that thing, because this auger is probably actually in better shape than the one that's there. That other one's just flat wore out. The flighting is very poor. I think it would move more corn if it had newer flighting, but this might be my choice. I don't know yet. All right, what else? Well, our tire's still inflating. Somebody said something about paint. Yeah, it would be better with paint. I've got paint to do the top, and I'll probably do the frame. I don't know how much of it I'll do at once, but a little bit. That dent, somebody said something about it. I don't think I will mess with it, because I think it'll be more trouble than it's worth. It doesn't hurt anything. It's just aesthetically bad looking. But sometime in this mill's life, it was rolled over on its side, but doesn't seem to have affected anything. Yeah. Well, that actually worked. It's pretty bad though, isn't it? We're on borrowed time here, friends, with our tire. Borrowed time. Would be nice if we could get this load out of here. Wonder how long that tire's gonna stay up, you know? All right, back to what I was doing. I was just fixing to take a drink because I've been working too hard here talking. Yeah, this person says grind enough till you see it circulating in the mill, then add your supplement. That's usually what I do. But I was beating the rain and I just didn't do things my normal way, so there's that. But yeah, we got to get it out of here. That way you don't run out of room at the end for your supplement. Yep, I agree. All right, can you put an extension of some kind on the end of the auger? Old feed bag or PVC pipe? Yeah, I probably could do that. Unfortunately, when I welded new ears on it, now it's pretty well square. So I'd have to get a pretty good size something. I love the 1755, probably one of my favorite ones I've seen on the channel. Your setup beats the bad place out of shoveling. I won't say that because I don't want to get demonetized. I've ground lots of feed with our 1755. Our grinder hopper fits under our bin unloading auger. Doesn't yours? No, ours does not, because of the terrain, and that's just the way she is. When Dad and Grandpa had that put in, I don't really know why they did what they did, but it will not fit under there. I would have to do some digging to do that, but whatever. My swing away auger hopper will fit under there, but it's not made like this. You know, it's not nearly as tall. So, and you get a better angle at it. So that's why. If I had one of those that kicked out 45 degrees out of the bin, then it would do it. This person said you might think about adding some minerals. I did that on camera, so I don't know why we didn't catch that. You should look into a grain vac. Yes, I've wanted one. I just haven't found one that was in my price range, no more than I would use it. I don't need a super fancy one, but it sure would be nice. This is the comment that made me think about making a video about this grinder. Said it was a cool video. All those moving parts are fun to watch. I have no idea what they're doing just to get done what you did. Well, that's what I wanted to explain more. I thought I explained that when I first got this, but we can overview this. And basically, your drive line from the tractor comes in here and it chain drives to your gearbox here. And what we have is, this mill is different because of, it's got this Haben sheller on it, which not all mills have. So if you pretend that's not there, your regular grinder mixers start back there with the little blower. So this one's got a gearbox that it chain drives up to where you can engage that sheller. But basically your drive line comes through here, and then off of it, it drives everything else. So that stuff there is like the drive for your blower, or not your blower, but your, what am I trying to say? Your mineral auger that's in the center, underneath, that runs the length. Like when I poured the mineral in that, I'd hate to keep running back and forth, but I don't think you're gonna get what I'm saying if I don't do it. So chain drive to this long auger, which runs the whole length of the deal, and it pulls your mineral and stuff into the mill. It runs alongside, off center of the vertical auger. And of course you have your drives over to your other auger over there, your load auger and that. And then you have a drive to your shaft that runs your gearbox, that runs your vertical auger, and also your unloading auger. So your shaft comes in, it runs all those things, but then at this end of the shaft, it has this lockout so you can start or stop the hammer mill. And the hammer mill is the thing that does your grinding of the grain. And basically underneath this cover is just a big giant pulley with about a 5-rib belt or whatever it is. You know, I can't remember. It's like a serpentine belt, a big serpentine belt, like you'd find on your pickup truck. That's what I'm trying to say. And you don't have to have the hammer mill running the whole time you're using this machine, only while you're doing the grinding part. The rest of the time you lock this out so it's not spinning, and you can, you know, run the other functions. I had this open the other day. This is the hammer mill, which has since gotten rained upon. It's probably great for it. Well, I'm not going to probably be able to get that pulled out of there by hand, so I'm going to have to grab me something. All right. I'm not going to take it all the way out. Screens. We talked about that the other day. Different size holes for different size grindings. In here is your hammer mill, which is basically some flat steel that just beats the tar out of the grain till it cracks it open. Consequently, they are reversible. This mill has been, looks like it's on its 3rd flip in its lifetime, because you can tell those 2 sides are pretty wore, so they've been out. So we're on this side right now, and I still got 1 more flip. I can take these out and then flip them over and go again. But they go around through there as the grain comes in, and they just beat the tar out of it till it fits through these holes, and then it falls down into that long auger that we talked about earlier that feeds into the tub. The flighting on this end of it pulls it this way. The flighting in that little mineral thing pulls it this way, and it all ends up in here. And so there you go, hammer mill with changeable screens, and that's what does your grinder mixer, your grinding part of the mixing. Grinder mixering, I'm trying to say. I'm not very good with words today. But it falls through the screen and goes into the tub for mixing. And what your little blower here does is all of the little dust particles and super duper fines, they go out and leave. They leave the chat. They go through that blower, and then it blows them into that dust collector deal, which you've seen those on like woodworking tools, you know. It collects some of the dust. The heavier pieces can fall back down and go into the stuff, and the super lightweight stuff leaves and goes bye-bye into the atmosphere. And then everything is in your tub ready to go, you know, your stuff you ground and your minerals that you put in the back. Now, like I said, this mill is different because it has this sheller attachment. So if you were going to do this, which we want to try sometime, but we just haven't done that yet. We didn't have ear corn last year at the end by this point. All right, too hot, but we're back again. So if you're going to do ear corn, you could turn on this sheller right there, and everything would spin. You'd feed your ear corn in there. It would shell it off. Your shelled corn would go down into this blower here, and it would shoot it down into the mill, which you would also have running, and then you would grind that, and it would end up in the tub. And your cobs and pieces will leave through this elevator and blow all over your unload auger probably, and hit here and fall down and make a mess. That's what I envision is going to happen, but we haven't ever tried it yet. But I would say that's how that's going to work. That's kind of an unusual attachment, and I don't think I've ever seen another mill that had one, but lucky me, I have this one, so sure. But if you'd shelled corn, that's what you would do. I'm not sure how that would be useful, because ear corn is super useful for feed because of the roughage. But then it mixes in there. Vertical auger up the center, which we've shown before, and it just keeps pulling feed from the bottom, pulls it up to the top and overflows it on top of the stack, and the funnel shape keeps feeding it down, and it keeps doing that, and that's how it mixes it together. Then when you're ready to unload, you turn this on. It activates this auger, which you open a door, and then this auger turns it out here, and it dumps it into the unload auger, and you can send it out on its merry way. And that's how she goes. And like I've said before, there are some definite differences between this and the later mills, like even Dad's mill. His is a 355, I think, and this is a 352. Yeah. And his has some different improvements. It uses a hand lever here to engage that. The opening piece, instead of just pulling it, it has a crank with like roller chain welded to here and a sprocket, and it helps it walk it out of there. There's some things on this mill I like better than on his. One of them being I can actually physically shut off all of this. I can undo that lever, and then this does not turn. On his, this shaft turns the whole time, and you do your shutting on and off here, which I think is kind of silly, but I don't know why they did that. I don't know. Other mills could be equipped hydraulically driven, which is super nice because then all you do is just flip a little lever and then it would activate each component. You know, each thing had a little, I've worked on mills like that before, but whatever. This is, for the price I got this for, it's definitely a winner. And the fact that it's unusual with that sheller. I like implements that are different. Yeah, but basically, that's how she works. I mean, I guess it could be overwhelming if you see it and have never seen one before, understand how they work, but they're just, think of it, it's a bunch of different components put together. So, you know, you take this off, this is a sheller. Don't worry about that. That part right there is the hammer mill. You could take that off, and then you just have the mixing tub, you know, and then you've got unload auger, you've got feed auger, just different components all mounted on a common frame, and then they work together to do this whole operation that you are trying to do. So, sure, let's take it out and feed some bovines. You will probably die because the camera battery has been acting quirky, but yeah. What do you think, pal? You think you can back up while I back in here? Yeah. You're just a big puppy dog, aren't you? Sure. Alright, it's not running, but here you can see the vertical auger with the center tube. It just keeps overflowing it, and then it fills up, and hopefully it doesn't push your lid loose like it did to me. I was thinking Dad's was hinged. This one's just held down by a spring. I usually like to do this when they're out somewhere else, because otherwise we got troubles like this where they want to follow me around or try to get out, or they're all up in my business right when I'm trying to do it. I'm still getting used to my setup here. I haven't done it this way for a long time. I mean, we never really ground feed for cattle. We just fed them corn straight up, but I feel like, just like that one guy said in the comments, you mix a little bit of stuff with the ground up corn, and you don't have to buy as many mineral tubs and blocks to put out. It's just good for them. Some of that mineral helps with the flies. So yeah, I just think it's a good idea. I think by grinding the corn, they get more digestion out of it than they do if it's whole. But I might be a moron. What do I know? You do it your way and I'll do it mine. Okay, well, I don't know what you get to see and what you don't. I got them fed. There's still a lot in there, which I don't like to leave it sit on this mixer that long, but I probably will this time. My little feed wagon, I want to get to that project too. That little green auger wagon I have for stuff like this. But the bad thing about it is it doesn't have a way to shut the flow off. It's all or nothing. So if you load this up and then you only want to auger out part of it, everything's going to be sitting full, the unload auger and all that, and it's going to have to start up under a load the next time, and I don't think that it will probably do that very easily. So we're going to have to work on that and modify it. I also have a scale I have a scale I bought. I want to try to put it on. I have all the stuff to do it. Just haven't had the time for years now. So, but anyway, this does work. This is an excellent tractor to use with this. But we're gonna have to do work to it too. Why wouldn't we, you know? It's leaking hydraulic fluid as it sits. And what it's doing, I'm 99% sure, it's leaking out of the seal on the top of the filter canister and then running down. And it only does it when it sits. So we're gonna probably have to take that off, put a new filter on, and make sure that we don't tighten it too much. I think I got a new upper seal I can put on the housing. And then that is a common thing though. If you over tighten that, it will leak. So try not to do that thing. I might have done it and that might be what the problem is. Then again, it could be that the seals just wore out. I don't know. But hopefully that answered some grinder mixer questions, or why I do it the way I do it, because if it looks unorganized, it is. I haven't had my own feed mill for, you know, I've never had my own feed mill. We always shared it with Dad, and it's his mill. He bought it, so it goes and it lives over there. So yeah, what I'm saying is this one lives here now, so I can do what I want, which includes grinding a load of feed and using it every day to feed with. So it's the way it's going to be. But I think we'll probably call this video here. Looks like we got done just in time. It's going to start raining again. But there will be more grinder mixer videos because we got a lot of work we can do to this thing, including but not limited to replacing both tires, packing the wheel bearings with grease, cleaning up and painting different components to try to make them last longer. You know, all that kind of stuff to make it more better, so that this will be the last one I ever have to buy in my lifetime. That's the goal here. I think I'm far enough along in life that it probably will be, but anyway, we're gonna call this one here, and we'll see what we get into next time. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Do you suffer from low intelligence and are easily entertained? Well, then hit that thumbs up button and leave a comment, and that way we can keep making entertainment that your feeble minds can understand. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.